welcome to CM Rankings and Reviews. Today is going to be a lengthy video because I'm ranking all 36 Dreamworks movies. Now, there are a few movies that I haven't seen, and this is either because A, they're not at my library. B, there's nowhere to rent them. Okay, so I'm going to list the ones that I haven't watched. Ants, Road to El Dorado, Sinbad, Wallace and Gromit. Well, I've watched half of that, but I can't count that because I haven't watched the full movie. And Chicken Run. There was one more. Ants, Road to El Dorado, Sinbad. Oh, and Prince of Egypt. So, it's going to be a long video, so let's get started. These first four movies, I can't rewatch very much. I don't really enjoy these movies. Coming at number 30 because I skipped 6 movies because there's 36 movies. So I did math. Yep. So coming in at 30th place, I have Home. This movie bores me to death. There is a lack of character. I mean, we have the Sheldon. Oh, the guy that plays Sheldon and young Sheldon voices. Oh, and then we have the girl and the cat. The other boobs. But what else is in this movie? They're not clever jokes. The adventure seems used like a bunch of times. I don't have a problem with used, but they don't use it well. They don't use this formula well. Coming up at number 29, shames me to put it this low, but I have Shrek. Just kidding, guys. At number 29, I have Shark Tale. I actually really enjoyed this movie when I first watched it, and then as it kept going, I realized the animation got ugly, but I still really love Shark Tale, guys. I love Shark Tale. It should be higher on this list, but the movies in front of it are just a little better than it. Coming up in 28, one of the probably dumbest movies I've ever watched, B-Movie. B-Movie doesn't have really, it has Chris Rock. That's the best thing in this movie, is Chris Rock is that mosquito dude. Other than that, it's just dumb. A bee and a human falling in love doesn't really, and the third act tends to get boring. But coming up at 27th place, I have Boss Baby. I didn't see this in theaters. My mom and my sister saw this in theaters, and when they came back, my sister didn't really like it that much. Neither did my mom. There's a lot of potty humor in this movie. I don't think that really bothers me that much, but the best part about this movie is Jimbo. Other than that, it's funny. You have Alec Baldwin, Jimbo. Other than that, there's really not much in this movie. Coming up in 26th place, I have Shrek the Third. I actually really like this movie, guys. If you've watched my All 4 Shrek films video, you know I actually really honestly enjoy Shrek 3. And I love Shrek 3. It's just it's not as good as the other 3, and it's disappointing, but it's still a good time to have. I just feel like they didn't use these characters that you love so much. I feel like they didn't use them as well as they should have. Coming up in 25th place, I used to love this movie as a kid, but now it gets boring, is Turbo. I think Turbo is a really fun, enjoyable movie, starring Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson and Snoop Dogg and Michael Pena and all of those big-named actors. They even have Ken Jeong as this lady girl. Crazy. But the problem in this movie is it tends to take the formula from Cars movies. I didn't really enjoy that because the Cars movies did it better. I should have compared Turbo and the first Cars in my Dreamworks versus Pixar. But Turbo has nothing much to offer except for a stellar voice cast and some fun characters. Coming up in 24 is Shrek 4. Now, from 24, you know what? All of these from 24 on up, I love them so much. And I'll rewatch them anytime. I'll put them in a lot. I put these movies in a lot. Up at number 24, I have Shrek 4. I own this movie. I bought it, and it doesn't disappoint. I like the whole alternate universe thing. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it wasn't necessary. I think they ended it off really good, but I hear they're making a fifth one, which is like, why? It's like the third one fell, and then the fourth one helped it get back up there. It helped the Shrek franchise get back on its feet. Other than that, and the clever story, good characters, there's really not much in it. Coming up at number 23, the reason this movie is so high up on this list is because of the animation. I have Spirit. Spirit is actually Spirit is an interesting movie because I think the story is boring, but the animation is so engaging, and the characters are so good. And I just think this movie is great. Coming up at number 22, I watched this movie with my great aunt in theaters, and my sister came along. It is Trolls. I really enjoyed this movie. I like Fuzzbert, I like Smidge, I like Diamond, Cooper, Biggie, Satin, Chenille, Branch, Poppy. I don't like the Bergens. That's my problem. I think this movie is good because it's all colorful and poppy and no pun intended, but like pops at you and like colors, and the music is great. I think what really wins this is the animation and the music, because if you look on like their skin, they have like these little fuzzies, like they make it look like a living scrapbook, and I think that is really actually clever. Up at number 21 is Captain Underpants, the first movie. I love these books. I read these books a lot. I own quite a few of these books. And I think the movie, for all those fans out there, I think that when you're reading those books now that I went back and read all those books, I couldn't picture anybody else replacing Kevin Hart and Ed Helms and Nick Kroll and Tom Middleton or whatever his name is, and Jordan Peele and Kristen Shaw. The main cast, they are just outstanding with funny animation, a lot of clever scenes. That's why Captain Underpants is at 21 for me. Coming at number 20, I have The Croods. I got this movie for Easter, I think. Yeah, Easter. This movie is downright hilarious, but then there's some times in the movie where it gets a little slow. That's my only problem with this movie. There's some scenes that get a little slow, but the animation is outstanding. Coming at number 19 plus 10. Well, 9 plus 10 equals 19. You get it. Never mind. That was a dumb joke. Is Puss in Boots. Best thing about this movie, Humpty Dumpty. The banter between Humpty Dumpty and Puss makes this movie so good. I gotta hurry this up. This video is getting a little long. Coming up at number 18, I have Madagascar 2. Worst of the Madagascars, guys, but it's still a clever, fun movie. When I was ranking the three trilogies, I told you guys that Madagascar 2 is probably not going to be in the top 10. But the other 9 movies in the trilogy made it in the top 10. The other 8 movies in those 3 trilogies did make it, so I stuck to my promise. Madagascar 2, the reason why it's so low is because it lacks a lot of character. It has a lot of character, but I just feel like the group is apart, and that really wrecks it for me. Coming up at number 17, I have the spin-off film Penguins of Madagascar. I've watched this movie probably 6 times by now, and I still love it to this day. Especially Rico. I think Rico and Short Fuse, if they had their own movie together, like a buddy comedy, I would watch that movie. I would buy that movie. I would watch it every night because they are the most entertaining characters in this movie. There is clever banter in between the Penguins and the North Wind. I think this movie is great. I like the villain, Dave. The only thing that kind of sticks it a little lower is the animation. Again, the people don't look so good in the background, but again, you're not focusing on the people, so that's nitpicking. Coming up at number 16, from 16 until my top 5, I'm going to give quicker reasons why. Up at number 16, I have Flushed Away. Great movie, funny. Surprisingly, not a lot of potty humor, even though he gets flushed down the sewer, and I was surprised about that. It was a pleasant surprise. I actually got this movie for Christmas. I love the voice cast in this movie. I think Lee Frog is probably one of my favorite Dreamworks characters. Christopher Knights is in this. I'm a fan of him because he plays Private in The Three Blind Mice and a prison guard in Megamind, but we'll get to that later. Coming up at number 15, I think is one of the most rewatchable movies, but I just haven't rewatched it that much. At number 15, I have Over the Hedge. This movie is just so funny. I love the voice cast. I love Steve. Who does this have in it? It has Bruce Willis, Gary Shandling, William Shatner, Wanda Sykes, Steve Carell, I already said that, Thomas Hayden Church, Allison Janney. Again, stacked voice cast. And we have Eugene Levy, I think, Catherine O'Hara. Coming at number 14, one of the most underrated. It is a gem. It is a part of my childhood. Well, I am still in my childhood. But when I was 5, I loved this movie. Monsters vs. Aliens. Love this movie. It is funny, great voice cast. I think this is an Avengers for kids, even though kids watch the Avengers. But I think this is a funny movie. I love Seth Rogen's character, but then there's this one joke that really throws off the movie for me when they're meeting Susan, and it's kind of I actually bet Seth Rogen improvised that line. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Coming up at number 13, I have the original Shrek. This movie, the banter between Shrek and Donkey and the humor really sets this movie this high for me. When I was littler, I was not a fan of this movie because it didn't have Puss in Boots and the King and Queen. But now that I go back, this movie is probably the best in the Shrek series. Coming up at number 12, I have to take back what I just said. At number 13, the best Shrek movie is Shrek 2. So, number 12, we have Shrek 2. This movie does everything that the original did not. It has the original characters better, and it brings in Puss in Boots, the King and Queen. The villains are great. Prince Charming and Fairy Godmother. They are very fun. Coming up at number 11, I have Megamind. I wanted this movie to be higher, but the top 10 for me, they're just such gems for me. Megamind, though, underrated. I think this is way better than Despicable Me, and I mean 5 times better, because Despicable Me is boring, doesn't have fun characters, but then you get Megamind, and we have Minion, Metro Man, Titan. I take Titan's boring. J.K. Simmons is in this movie. Will Ferrell does a great job voicing Megamind. Coming at number 10, peoples, I have Madagascar, the original Madagascar. I just really like the animation, okay? Nah, I'm kidding. We have a stellar voice cast. Funny characters, a good plot. You never know what's going to happen. It's not predictable. That's what I enjoy about this movie. Coming up at number 9, I have I have How to Train Your Dragon, the original. I have no problems with this movie, guys. but I think the animation is stellar. Well, you do have one problem. The animation to the humans, I don't think is as good, because I think Pixar did the animation before that to the humans way better. Other than that, this movie is great. I love Toothless, but Toothless just gets better as the movies go on. Comment number 8, I have Madagascar 3. Madagascar 3 is an interesting movie because I saw this in theaters and I really liked it. And I got it for an Easter present from my neighbor. And the second time I watched it, I got bored. But as I keep watching it, and as I keep getting older, I enjoy this movie more and more. I think it's clever, the whole circus thing. They know how to even out the characters very well. The penguins get more screen time, King Julian gets less screen time. My only problem with it is Maurice and Mort. They do not need to be dragged down with King Julian. They can go up by themselves. Company number 7 is How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. The animation in this movie is stellar. Best animation out of any movie. I think they beat Pixar in this movie. And they bring back all the characters, all the old dragon riders like Fish Legs, Snotlout, Rough Nut, Tough Nut. They have a purpose in this movie to have a gag for the whole running gag. And it is funny. Up at number 6, I have Mr. Peabody and Sherman. This movie just has clever history jokes. You actually learn something about history in here. Ty Burrell does a good job. I read somewhere that they wanted Robert Downey Jr. Okay, whatever. RDJ. They wanted him, but he was too busy making Marvel movies. So they got Ty Burrell, and I think Ty Burrell did a way better job. We never got to know what RDJ would do, but I think Ty Burrell steals the show. Probably my favorite Dreamworks character. Up at number 5, I have How to Train Your Dragon 2. Wait, is that How to Train Your Dragon? Okay. Yep, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is at number 5. Not much to say about this movie except for I like the parents in this movie. Toothless is probably at his best in this movie. They really know what to do with the dragon riders in this movie. They help the plot go on. And it's an enjoyable movie for the most part. And coming up at number 4, I have Rise of the Guardians. Normally this is really low on their lists. But for me, I love this movie. Hugh Jackman stands out, and Alec Baldwin. I love Sandy, the Easter Bunny, Santa, every character in this movie. I have no problem with any of them except for Jamie and his friends. Other than that, this movie is fun. There are some funny moments, but it's more of an adventure drama kind of a thing, and I am fine with that. Coming into our top 3, if you've noticed, I haven't said one Kung Fu Panda. Therefore, in third place, I have Kung Fu Panda 3. This movie's interesting because the first 2 times I watched it, I didn't enjoy it. As I watched it more, I loved it. The Furious 5 is good in this movie. Sure, they get sidelined, but that is fine because we get a whole new cast of lovable pandas. This probably has the least amount of action, but that is fine. Coming up in second place, I have Kung Fu Panda, the original. This movie is so good, you guys. I mean, this movie is downright hilarious, and a lot of people didn't think it was going to be good. First time I watched it, I fell in love with it, unlike Kung Fu Panda 3. This movie you can watch, it's so rewatchable, and I just like the whole Master Shifu tough relationship kind of with Po, and I like the Furious 5 because they get little screen time in here, but that's fine, and Jackie Chan kind of gets wasted in this movie, but that is fine. And coming up at number 1, you guys, I have Kung Fu Panda 2. 2D animation in this movie is great. Monkey and the whole Furious 5 get a lot more screen time in this movie. Jackie Chan is great in this movie. This movie is just funny. The villain is way better than the other two. That's why this movie beats the other two. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe down below. Hit the red bell. Hit the little bell to get notified.